Hey everybody, Tim here, My Options Trading Club, 32 Trades, and yes, formerly from Aim High Profits. I am shamelessly going to plug, follow me on Twitter, X, My Options Trading Club. It is at My Options Club, and you should do the same over there on YouTube. Same thing, at My Options Club. Watch that intro video that we've got over here, how to make $1 million from $500 risk using SPX credit spreads, taking 5% daily. Now, a lot of people look at that and say, $1 million from $500, that's fucking impossible. Well, it's math, and you know what? It is fucking hard. There's no joke about it. However, how much did you fucking spend on college? You don't think that, $500 risk and you only make 20 grand off of it? You're not going to get an education during the course of it? Trust me. Follow us, join us, come on in. So I am going to go over Nvidia. QQQ, we've already made our money for today, and it is just 10:30 in the morning, an hour after trading. The gap is almost filled, 14 more cents. Made all of our money, everybody in the credit spreads, the 367, 368, 369 call spreads, full credit coming at the end of the day. The guys that are playing puts are up over 200%. Come over onto the SPX and the exact same thing. Made it to where we wanted to, had everybody prepared ahead of the market open. Boom, here we are, red on the session, down 3 points. We filled the gap, and everybody that is in the 0 DTE puts, as well as the call credit spreads, full credit, making money. Why? Because your VIX. Your VIX is in charge. Not going to share too much of that VIX with you because we are going to focus on Nvidia. Nvidia is reporting earnings tomorrow after the market closes. Now, members, you guys are watching this on Tuesday, one day in advance of the Nvidia earnings. The general public that is not a member will not see this until just before the earnings come out on Wednesday after the market closes. I won't make this public until then. And all that I'm looking at here with you, because yes, I do call Nvidia a Ponzi scheme. Shared with you already in the weekend email what BABA used to be. Well, BABA ain't that anymore. Same thing you had with Tesla going back greater than a year ago. Tesla ain't what it was going back to then either. And right now, the only golden boy out there, other than the two main, never going to get changed. We're going to be here 30 years from now after a nuclear disaster, Microsoft and Apple, is Nvidia. Nvidia right now is the poster boy. Nvidia is your ramen noodles that tells you, eat it. It's easy. You're not going to get sick. You're not going to die. Eat it. I'm going to run through this with you on Nvidia just to give you a general concept of the personality of the stock, as well as the Fibonacci's as to where they are, where they're from, and where they're stemming to, so that you can get a generalized idea as to what to expect from Nvidia and to use common sense, which is you do not play Nvidia options for earnings. If you have to be involved, you go over and you play the QQQ, fraction of a cost of Nvidia, and you're going to get the exact same result. So I'm not a trend line guy, but that's where I'm going to start you out with. This trend line coming off of your 2018 high and your 2021 high. You see how clean that is. Now we will go ahead and extend it to the right and look at where we come to. Lo and behold. So if you want to call a top, call a top. Undo edit trend line. So from where we bottomed out here after a 57.48% drop from the 2018 highs down to that 2018 low just after Christmas morning, it fluttered around as we went up into the highs to COVID, up 154%. And as you can see right there, essentially just gapping up to break above that old all-time high from 2018, and then COVID hit and you went into the shit like everything else. 43% drop on COVID. Not bad. from COVID, a very respectable grind to the upside to right around that 140 area, and then you literally went nowhere. Looks like the heartbeat sticker that you used to put on the back of a fucking Pontiac Trans Am back in high school. Nowhere. From August all the way until March, April, nowhere. Almost a year of doing nothing but consolidating. And then because Joe Biden won the elections and everybody was going to start going upwards in 2021, you had your rally in 2021 and you took yourself up 667% from your COVID lows. Again, just showing numbers. Where we went to 346.47. A lot of you guys might remember when Nvidia was the new big king shit on the street because Bitcoin miners were all going to be coming out from everywhere and mining Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin crashed and it was too expensive to mine Bitcoin, so Nvidia went into the shit. Suddenly, now, which we won't get to yet, we're into AI. But anyway, we're sticking with the charts here. So again, not going through any Elliott waves on this whatsoever as far as where we've come from, but pretty clean that you can see cycles are topping. This was your cycle 1, going back all the way to the all-time lows, or 2009, whatever you want to call it. Here was your cycle 3 after your cycle 2. This is your cycle 4. And here we are in cycle 5. Cycle 5 being the final cycle of the life of the stock. So from your 346.47, so let's go ahead and bring this into a tighter time frame. 2 years. From your 346.47, very clean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 68.79% into the October lows. Then you had your little rally with everybody else going up there into December, and then your dip. So you could look at this as a 1-2. Very well could, and it very well is. And this is where we are into our wave 3. So this is a Fibonacci extension that I'm focused on at the moment. 1 year. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Give me the 1 year. So we've come off of here into our 1-2. Here's your earnings gap back in February. Not a lot to mention for AI. They mentioned the word, it kind of worked a little bit, but nothing was really there. Again, back in February, market was dropping off. Now you come over here into your May report where AI was the new poster boy for everything. But I want you to see your extensions here. Forget this. I'll remove this for now. Your extension here with your 1-2, and then you come right to your 100 extension, which is your minimum, break right above it, come back down and almost support on it. Therefore, for me, this proves the drawing is correct. And then you have your earnings gap. And where does your earnings gap up to? It breaks the 161. It breaks the old all-time highs, leaving an enormous gap in that area. And you go right to the 200 extension. The 200 extension, and you float around it for a little while, and then you've never visited that 200 extension ever again. This, again, for me, proving this is a very strong price point, this 380, 385 area. We come almost up to the 261.8 extension, have our little dip, break up, and how do we get above that? We gap. We gap above the 261.8, go right to the 300 extension, and then we've just recently come off of our little downtrend, which everybody was witness to. And over these last few days, here we are, coming from 416 up to 483. We'll zoom it out a little bit more. There you go. Down from those highs, down to 403. Big sell-off after that move upwards last week. And here you go, these last 3 days, Friday, Monday, and today, Tuesday. Nvidia currently is down almost 2% on the day after having gapped up and created new all-time highs. So, how do you want to play earnings? Well, zooming out here, because this is a big line that I look at. This line here being 493.76. The reason I look at this as being a big line is because it comes off of, so I can show you here, the 161.8 retracement of the entire drop of 2022. Now, Some people might say, well, what the fuck is that? Well, I'm the same guy that taught you guys about the full moons, and you see how those full moons work. So this for me is a very strong pivot point. It's a very strong price point. It's a very strong area that the algorithm itself already knows this is going to be a major level. A lot of people very likely have it already programmed in to where this would be their sell areas. And that's why, like over here on the old all-time highs, those sell orders couldn't get hit because you gapped up above it. Now everybody's still trapped inside of it. That was long from earlier in the year. Not that that's a bad thing. So put this back on your retracements and bring us back into reality. So here's your big gap up. You know what? We'll remove this just to make it easy for you. And I'm not going to show you the colors and the designs and all, but here's your gap up. Now, this 23.6 that's sitting here at 369.43. This is your 23.6 retracement going back to your all-time lows. All-time lows. So no matter what, and it didn't get created here where this gap up took place. This is updated as of today's all-time highs that hit over there at 483.44, right? What's our number? 483.44. Granted, I have the date wrong because I didn't move things around, but what's today, the 22nd? Okay, the 22nd at 8:30 in the morning. So there, okay? Close enough to being perfect. This is your 23.6 retracement going back to your all-time lows. It now happens to be right where your lows are from after that big gap up. Thus, for me personally, having done this for the length of time that I have, this for me is where I would call it to be a very, very, very hard bottom. There's no way that you're going to get through this without going through with a gap. And there is no way that you're going to get a 100-point drop over here on Nvidia unless fucking Pinocchio becomes the new fucking Santa Claus. I think it's a Ponzi scheme, but there's nothing you're going to get out of that, because, again, we're looking for a green week. But your 23.6 retracement going back to your lows of this year, this move off of 108.13 back in October, 394.87. Gapped up above this over here. Back here on June 12th, June 13th, we gapped above that. So again, with this now being a updated line because of the highs that were placed earlier today, this for me is once again a very, very strong pivot, and I would not expect to see Nvidia break down below 394 today. So, in summary, what you're looking at here is 100 points. You got 494 on the upside and 395 on the downside. I don't know why anybody would want to be involved in Nvidia and actually play their calls or puts. I don't know why anybody would want to go in there and, other than me with a hate trade, get into a credit spread on calls looking for a break down below 400 or last week's 403. QQQ is your place. QQQ is your place. QQQ is going to provide you with much cheaper alternatives to be playing that expensive Nvidia. And again, with the emails that's already out from earlier in the week, prior to when we got started, 367 to 372 is our upside targets for this week. We already hit 367. We are looking for a green week. We have Jerome Powell on Friday. I see absolutely no reason why not to. If you want to be involved in Nvidia, take advantage of this little dip that we have right here to 363 and be over there looking at the 372 calls or anything in between this going into Friday. So your QQQ for Friday, August 25. If you wanted to play the 365 calls right here where we're at the money, they'll cost you $3.33. If you wanted to go out to 368, they would cost you roughly $2. Now, I'll pull you back in here and we'll look out all the way to where we're at. Now, if you wanted to go out of the money all the way to 372, they would cost you a little bit less than $1. Now, I want you to use a little bit of common sense here, okay? For your 368s, it would cost you $2. If we make it to 372, these are worth $4. If we only make it to 372, your 372s are going to have a really hard time making any money on them. And there you have your 365s. Your 365s are 336. If we make it to 372, there you go. You're looking at $7. So either way, you have a potential, and I want you to do the math here. You have a potential of around 100% playing on the calls for those upside 372 if 372 just so happens to show itself. Do you really want to expose yourself all because everybody is sucking Nvidia's dick all over FinTwit, forcing you to believe that you need to be involved in it? Nvidia reports after the market closed tomorrow. Who really cares what happens on the report? The market's open the day afterwards, and we can trade it on Thursday. See you guys in the chat room.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.